Hello and welcome to episode 24 of the Black Feather, an Ospreys rugby fancast. And boy, are we fanning today.
Hmm.
Lads, how we feeling?
Yeah, the sun's shining and we're still basking in the glow of Saturday's win as well, aren't we?
It
Yeah,
was
yeah,
great.
100%. It was amazing, wasn't it? I'm still flying high on that one. I think it's what done my back in, to be honest, is the tension of that second half and the flip-flopping back on the scoreboard in those final like 5, 10 minutes. I've done some real damage to my back. That's why we're recording a day late, everybody, because I'm
Odds broken.
semi-paralyzed. And I think it was the stress of that game, but it all came out good. And happy Rod, yeah.
Well, I made the epic mistake of I really needed a pee. Really, 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 really needed a pee from about the start of the second half. And I got to a point where I had to go. Glasgow scored, and I was like, do you know what? Minute left. This is done for now. So I went into full on sulk mode. Went upstairs, had to pee. All I could hear was John going, "I don't believe it." Victor Meldrew style, but with a swear word in the middle of it. And I was like, what? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? And you could just hear him going, oh, I just don't believe that. And I went, oh my God, have we won? Have we scored a try or something? He went, yeah, you've won. Me now, being excited, decide to like run downstairs. And I've got a slight curve at the top of the stairs, but I'm trying to pull my pants up and my jeans up as I'm running down the stairs. So I nearly had like a full on face plant in my hallway. And then I got downstairs and John was like, it's all done now. So I had to get him to rewind it so I could watch the last minute. And I was just like, that's just blown my brain that have. I can't believe that. And he was like, neither can I. I just that was not on that was not
No.
on the card. Like,
I think we'd all
yeah.
given up on me. I think that Glasgow try in the last minute, it was like, oh, it's going to be one of those famous defeats, Joe's, victory taken from or defeat taken from the jaws of victory or whatever it was. And then for that, I don't know what the Glasgow player was doing. He just had a bit of a brain fart, didn't he, to sort of get caught in possession and yeah, just completely unexpected. I think we'd all sort of given up.
Yeah, just absolute pressure off Tipuric and Cassendi,
Yeah.
forcing that error, creating the penalty. And then Jack, I've got balls of steel Walsh stepping up to take that penalty. How cool was Jack?
Mhm.
Like the hair. And then he just knew it was going over, didn't he? He just knew it was there. And then at that absolute joy of everyone pouncing on him,
Yeah.
it just was marvellous. And obviously, first time we won in Scotstoun for 9 years. 2016 was the last time
Yeah.
that we've gone there and won.
And it is
So
the best way to win a game, isn't it? With the last play of a game.
last
There's
gasp
no better
attempt.
way to win a game, is there, really?
Well, it depends on whether you've got a heart condition or not. Do you
I
know what
think
I
I have
mean?
now.
Yeah, I've definitely got a bit of a murmur that's going on, but we came out of the traps pretty well. And I know that first try was scored by Morgan Morse, but I have got to say that was powered by Harry Deeves. He grabbed that lad by the scruff of his neck and he shoved him over. There was no way Morse wasn't going over for that try.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Over
100%.
he went. He was propelled. Harry Deeves rocket flew.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
just gone. Um, Obviously, shame that we scored the three tries in quick succession, didn't get the conversions because it would have been a little bit easier for us points wise, but it all came right in the end.
It
That's
is.
what rugby's all about, isn't it? That excitement. And upon reflection, it was miraculous stuff. Um, Leading up to that, it was just absolutely nerve-wracking. But yeah, you couldn't ask for a better start, could you? I think we had three tries within 18
15
minutes,
minutes.
something like that, 18, 19 minutes.
Yeah.
Then there was a bit of a lull that allowed Glasgow back into the game, and then everything just went not wrong, but in the last few minutes, it was just like back and forth, wasn't it? Them taking the lead, us taking it back. Then they scored that final try in the 78th
Eighth minute.
Yeah,
minute, something like that, by Macbeth, guy with the most Scottish name in the world.
yeah, that's brilliant, isn't
Um,
Out,
yeah.
damn spot.
it?
But it was so much fun. I mean, for the purists, for the neutral, I think that was hell of a
What a
game to watch.
game,
Wasn't
man.
it? Had a bit of everything.
Yeah. I think
I
my
said
favorite
that.
I think my favorite stat from the game is that in the URC history, only two teams have scored 5 tries there. One
Mm.
of them's us, and the other one's Glasgow.
Do you know what
Yeah,
I liked as well? Little bit of handbags. Love a little bit of a scrap. Absolutely thought that was amazing. Keelan taking on someone who's a foot taller than him. Go on, my son. Wasn't scared. Didn't back down. Just thought it was marvellously handled by the ref as well. Just, don't want to talk to you about this again, lads. Calm it down. It's been a nice game until now. Captains, have a word with your lads. Off you pop.
Mm.
That's all it needs to be.
I think what
Yeah.
was good as well that we were just fearless when we that first 20 minutes. We were
Mhm.
playing some lovely rugby as well. And with apologies to Kieran Hardy, I didn't realize he had that much of a turn of pace in him. I knew he was quick, but he was rapid on Saturday in his, support play, support running, and for the try in the first half, um, you know, properly skinned the defense.
Yeah.
I think it was
And
probably his strongest game for us so far, or at least his most complete performance.
yeah.
Um, I've seen a few people, as they always seem to do with Hardy, focusing on a couple of moments. But if you're putting in a couple dozen kicks every game and 80, 90, 100 passes, a couple of those are going to go awry. You can't judge them on those moments.
Yeah,
His support play in the loose and his ability to pick a moment to sort of drop out of his natural position, just in, trying to follow the play and take the ball away from the back of a ruck. To pick that moment to sort of break formation and go for that gap and go for the support line is pretty impressive, isn't it? He's
mm,
always there or thereabouts, even if he's not taking it and scoring the try. He's the second or the third or the fourth option, willing to provide that support. I was really impressed. He showed us why he is an international in that game.
Yeah.
And he probably deserves to be back in there now, probably above players like Rodri Williams. Again, no slight to him. We say this every time, but Rodri isn't the future. Players like Hardy, Ruben, Ellis Bevan, they are, aren't they? So,
yeah,
And
definitely.
it,
In terms of the depth now at 9, when Ruben is back, then there is genuine competition at 9. Up until
yeah.
now in the season, Ruben has been number one clearly. The way that Hardy's playing at the minute, he is pushing him for that spot when he does come back.
yeah,
Yeah. And for me, watching that, it can only really be for the good of the squad to have that level of competition and that
hmm
element of competition. From my point of view, that's why we need to be competitive in these games moving forward now. And having someone nipping at your heels in your position is only going to make you up your stakes and up your game. Like what amazed me is the media seeing what we see now and going, "Oh, how have we that this wonder kid coming in or this under the radar player?" They're not.
Yeah.
Well, they've not been for us then, shall we say?
No.
Um, but it's good that they're getting that kind of recognition now. And we were just saying before recording, this next bank of games for us now is so important. And it would be a shame if those, the loss against Dragons, the draw against Cardiff, if that came to bite us a little bit. Um, Certainly doable. Certainly can get ourselves into that top 8 and, you know, be in those playoff positions. And, we're sitting on an even keel with Scarlets at the moment, aren't we? We're in,
And a
just
whole
below
load of
them
other
on
teams.
points
Yeah.
difference,
Yeah.
you
And you
know.
think the players going underneath the radar, somebody like Keith who's just rightly taken a lot of praise from that performance Saturday. We see that consistency with his performance week in, week out. Okay, yes, he was outstanding on Saturday, not
Yeah,
just with his, I think what we saw more of him on Saturday was in an attacking sense. I think defensively he's always strong, but we saw more of him as an attacking threat
Hmm.
Saturday.
Yeah.
And he, talking about competition. We've got, how are we going to say his name again, Rod, coming in? Fuck,
Waisia Naikalevu.
Nigel Lavu, that's the one. So when he arrives, that's going to give, competition for
Cracking
Boshoff
centre
and
partnership,
Williams.
that is.
Yeah, but you
Yeah.
got Boshoff and Williams there already. Boshoff's been playing great the last few weeks as well. You bring in that extra bit of competition as well. Everybody's going to up their game, aren't they? And there's really positive signs. But there were lots of excellent performances. I think maybe one that's not been, or two that haven't been mentioned hugely, are our second rows on
Mhm.
Saturday. Ratty and Fender, two young lads, or relatively young lads, up against a strong, experienced Glasgow pack. Really stood up well, not just in the loose, but in the tight as well. At line out time, scrum time was solid. But they put themselves about around the park. I think was Fender the second highest amount of carries, I think, or something like that in the game, or
Believe so, yeah.
something along those lines. So, the forwards are getting their hands on the ball regularly as well and making a big contribution. So I thought the second row stood up really, really well on Saturday.
And there was a lovely picture on social media of the pack as well. Um, just after the game all together, and that was just lovely to see because they all looked so bonded. Ratty lad, stay off the 10 and to taste like it's not great.
I noticed that. I wanted to
I
call him.
know, stay
We'll
off
do
the
it
10.
here on a public forum instead of in his DMs.
Yeah, just don't do the tenants. It's better than back fast, I'll give you that. But don't do the tenants. I tried back fast when I was in Scotland once. Rocket fuel. And I'm of the age where I drank Mad Dog 2020 and
Oh,
Diamond
yeah.
White.
Yeah.
Back fast,
Yeah, it's that caffeine in it.
Yeah.
absolutely not. Like, no, no, no,
I
no,
think
no, no.
if we're thinking about Mark Jones' style of play, we've been praising over the last few weeks. I think Saturday was the culmination of the squad now properly buying into what he's trying to
Adopting it.
do, and it's beginning to be established now in how the team's playing. I think there was a good combination of, flair but grunt as well to go with it on Saturday.
Yeah.
But it
And
was
I
the
think that's
grit.
summed up by just looking at the last 5 games, 5 of the 7 that Mark Jones have been in charge. If you ignore the first 2 games, Scarlets and Cardiff, since then we played Newcastle, Pau, Benetton, Leinster, and Glasgow. And of those 5 matches, the only one that we haven't scored at least 5 tries in was against Leinster.
Mm.
Wow.
In the others, we've got 5 tries, 6 tries, 3 tries against Leinster, and then 5 again against Glasgow on the weekend. If you look earlier in the season, it was 2 tries, 3 tries, maybe 4. We're just getting over the whitewash
And we've
more
got
times
the players
than game.
there.
And that's how you win. It's a simple game at the end of the day, isn't it? You score
Yeah.
tries, and we're doing more of that. What I'd love to see is how many more of those are backs tries or tries that start with the backs,
Mm.
Yeah,
rather than just our typical bread and butter of maul tries
you're forward.
and attritional forward stuff. I might do a little bit of analysis on that post recording here tonight.
Boy loves a spreadsheet, loves an Excel, don't you, boy?
I was doing it furiously before we started recording, but I didn't have enough time.
Do it more furiously, phrasing. If you've watched Archer on Netflix, then anytime anybody says anything slightly, that can be taken the wrong way, they shout phrasing. But it freaks me out because the guy who voices Archer is also the guy who voices Bob in Bob's Burgers. So you've got this massive super spy, Sterling Archer, who is really hot for a cartoon character. And then you've got Bob from Bob's Burgers. And you're both looking at me blank now.
I
But
No,
know
I've
who
never
I'd
seen
go
it.
for.
No, I've never seen it.
Bob's
like
got to go in.
Bob's Burgers is just the best. John calls me Louise. He's tempted to buy me a hat with the pink bunny ears because if you haven't seen it, please watch it because it's just one of those where it's just, I just love it. It's really stupid. Um, but yeah, Archer's a grown-up cartoon, so nobody under the age of 18, please. Um, I just like that we didn't give up either.
Hmm.
No.
We didn't. We could have folded in that last minute, couldn't we? And that was some really good play by Tips and Cassende to force that error. Um, and just to have that nerve to do it. And you could see they couldn't quite believe it themselves, could they, that they'd things. So there's obviously a lot of good work that's going on there. Defensively as well, they're still staying pretty steady.
Yeah, I think the only
Um,
disappointment probably is how much ball we gave away on sort of restarts, which let Glasgow back into the game, gave them field position. I think it was three separate occasions. I think they scored from all three, didn't they? Which just let them into the game. So it's just that control of, okay, you've scored, now deep breaths, cool head,
yeah,
the basics.
just
Um,
went back to it. And I think seeing how this style of play is evolving, for me, I just think it's going to get better. It's going to bed in more. It's going to get better because realistically, we've had 7 games. If this is where we are 7 games in, add that last trench in, and like we said last week, may not necessarily be the end to the season that we would love, i.e., the playoffs, but what a foundation to go into next year.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And what's really struck me this weekend is despite having 20 players out, either injured or in the Wales camp, we still had a bit of depth off the bench. And I feel like
Yeah,
that made the difference on the weekend with your likes of Morris coming on at the right time to impose the right kind of game
Yeah,
plan for point in the game that we were. And then players like Spencer as well, with just a bit more of a mature head, been there, done that, knows how to maybe ride out a close game. I think those were the difference makers. And the fact that we've got that experience to come off the bench when we're 20 players down is quite impressive. If you look elsewhere at some of the other Welsh regions, I think that's what undid Dragons on the weekend, for example. They've
yeah,
got similar numbers out missing, but as soon as they got to that 50-minute mark, their players started getting
folded.
because they were playing half their bench anyway, and then they had no quality to come on afterwards. So
Yeah,
I, I think it's really it speaks to Mark Jones's management and his timing as a sort of man manager and bringing people on at the right time, but also just the quality and the fitness and the conditioning of our boys
yeah.
from,
I
yeah.
think,
from
And
you
I,
know
well,
from,
when everybody's back as well, I think, it gives us opportunity to rotate a bit as well. We've got enough
yeah,
in all areas that from now till the end of the season, if we're
we want to
competing
stay
two
injury
fronts
free.
potentially, for competing in Europe and trying to get to the playoffs, we're going to need to rotate a little bit, and we've got the luxury of being able to do that a little bit now.
Yeah. And I don't want to, I've seen a lot of negativity on social media about, oh my God, look how amazing we're doing now. Toby's gone. Let's not forget, Toby put a foundation in place, he put a system in place. This, we could have said the first couple of results were new coach bounce. Obviously not now. We're past that, but let's not forget the foundation
Yeah,
he put into place because there's still a lot of things that are happening that he's put into place.
yeah,
So let's not forget that because I hate that level of negativity. It's the same when a football manager changes. The reality is you're building on the shoulders of giants. You know, sounding like Oasis now.
100%. And I hate to uh, continuously sort of pick on the Dragons. That's not what I'm intending on doing, but I think that's where their issue lies, is that they're so sort of dismal across the board that they're trying to do everything better, whereas they just need to pick some fundamentals of the game and do those well for a period, get those nailed down, make those second nature, and then you can concentrate on
Yeah,
adding the finesse and adding the flair. We've been doing that sort of fundamentals game for the past 2, 3 seasons now under Toby. It's
yeah,
become second nature. So
build
then
it
you
in.
start improving the other things without the defensive or
yeah,
the attritional side of the game dropping off. You know that's the standard. You've got the quality now to hold that there, and you can start thinking about attack and flair and the sort of pizzazz. That's probably where Dragons could concentrate for a couple of seasons on
Yeah,
just getting the fundamentals.
and I
Um,
think it's a lot of pressure for Tia as well to
yeah,
be, thrust into that role in a very much a struggling region. Um, and being thrust into that. yeah, they've made some signings, but for me, the signings that they've made are perhaps on a little bit of the older side of where perhaps I would want them if I was a Dragons fan. Um, but I do think it when you're a siege mentality, isn't it? You go back to basics in siege mentality. You know, that's where you go. And I think for me, if I was in that position, then you're right, Rod, I would want them getting back to those most basic things and
Yeah.
building on that. I just
In
feel
periods of high stress,
heartbroken
go
from
back to
them.
you go back to your roots, don't you? And if your fundamentals aren't there, then you're just going to crumble in those situations, and you're going to cave under the pressure. So,
Mm.
yeah, I
Yeah,
think that's where we're doing good now. We've built those foundations under Toby. He he was fantastic at what he did, and now Mark's here to sort of add another layer. It's not ripping up the old scrapbook and
add a
starting
bit of
again.
polish.
Adding
That's right.
layer, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And, every team, when there's a change of coach, will evolve in their style ever so slightly. Um, you know, and that's just to the benefit of the team. That's why you've got your defence coach, your forwards coach, your attack coach, because they all bring something very, very different to,
Yeah.
to what the team is trying to achieve. Um,
And that
Overall,
Yeah. I was just
a
going to say it
bloody good
wasn't a
day at the
perfect
office.
performance. Yeah, it was fantastic, wasn't it? Great day at the office, but it wasn't without fault. And
No,
that's what's equally as impressive about it is that we can put in a performance where you can actually highlight a number of things that
Yeah.
didn't necessarily go well or go as perfectly as you'd want them, but we still managed to get the win
grind it
away
out.
in Scotstoun. Like that doesn't happen in this modern day and age. You were
Scott's
talking
tune.
about Scotstoun.
John will be raging at you, be like, Scott's tune. Um,
But- Yeah, you mentioned stats earlier, Mark. I can't remember which one you mentioned, but there's a couple more impressive ones that came out of that game. So it's Ospreys' first win in Scotstoun in 9 years, breaking their 14-game home win run. And like you said, Mark, I think earlier, it's only the third time Glasgow have lost at home in the URC era. That was Leinster in 2021, that was Munster in the quarterfinals in 2023, and Ospreys now in 2025.
we're in
So,
good company, lads.
Yeah,
impressive list, isn't it?
absolutely.
I can live with that.
Can I just say
Um,
the Premier Sport commentators just talking about one negative. I don't think they know our team at all. There was one point during the game on Saturday where he said, "Oh, the Ospreys are missing people like Jack Morgan and Adam Beard who are away with the
I
squad in the
noticed
Six
that.
Nations." I was thinking Beard's been injured since October.
Yeah.
Surely they would they
Yeah,
shouldn't do
but
that.
one of them was Shane Williams.
Yeah, yeah.
He was like, "What are you doing, mate? What's
Shane
the deal?"
Williams was having a lovely time on Saturday as well. I think I posted something. My favorite bit of commentary I think ever was when Giles got away for the try and he was like, "Oh, when he gets the ball, it's Tata Teapot."
What the frig is
I have
Whatever
Tata
that means.
I
Teapot?
have
Is that
never
a
heard
thing
that
or
phrase in my
what?
life before. If it is a phrase that's
Please let us
a thing or
know.
whatever, let us know. But he was having a lovely time, wasn't he? He was thoroughly enjoying the
He'd been
performance.
on the sherry, hadn't he?
Yeah.
He'd had a bit of that whiskey tipple. Um,
Talking about officials as well, the referee last minute change. I think we were supposed to have Andrew Brace, weren't we?
I
Yes,
was so
He
pleased.
dropped out, and we ended up with a Scottish
a
referee who
Scottish
was one
ref.
of the touch judges standing up and stepping up into that role. I thought he was pretty good.
He had a really good game, really
Yeah.
measured,
Yeah, and often you
really,
can
really
get that, can't
measured.
you? When there is a potential for a perceived bias with a ref, they're a bit more
Go the other
Yeah,
way.
not hardline. What's the word I'm looking for? They're a bit more
measured.
unbiased. They make the extra effort to appear unbiased, even to the point where it can sometimes favour the visiting side. I don't
Yeah.
think he did that. I think he was pretty measured and balanced.
I
There's no
thought he was a really good
Yeah, it
ref. I
was good.
thought his standard was really, really good. And it's the
yeah,
first time in a long time. And it has no direct correlation between the win and what I'm going to say. It's the first time in a long time that I haven't had any major
grievances.
niggles.
Yeah, yeah.
with the ref, where I
But I
thought,
was looking for them. When I heard the Scottish accent for the next 10 minutes, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I was ready to spot
get
something,
on
but
social media.
he didn't
We
give
didn't
you
give you
I,
anything, did
anything.
he? Didn't give us anything. No, he was good. He was good.
but yeah, so we've obviously got a little bit of a break now. And then next up, we've got Connacht um, coming up. And then we've got the big games against the double header against Scarlets. So big couple of weeks towards the end of March and beginning of April for us. We do need to pin the tail on the donkey now. We need to get some W's in that column. We also need to build up some points to grab back that points difference
Yeah.
between Scarlet. Obviously, great if some of the other teams can do us a little bit of a solid in certain ways. And I know we were talking about what could happen or what we would need to happen for us to go in our favour. But let's turn ourselves to the other part of the URC now and what happened over the weekend. Obviously, we've spoken a little bit about Dragons, but Mark, let's have your URC roundup.
Okay, yeah, really busy weekend and some really good games this weekend as well. So, starting with Friday night, we had Munster 28, Edinburgh 34. Edinburgh have crept back into contention from somewhere. They had a disastrous start to the season, but they've somehow dragged themselves up to seventh in the table currently. Their scrum was really dominant. It gave them fantastic field position throughout, from Munster being pinged for penalties off scrum possession. So Edinburgh gained a lot from that, set up good attacking positions for them, and they scored some lovely tries, put the ball through the hands well. Um, we talked about Munster's defensive frailties when we had Dara on the pod, which was kind of second game or third game of the season or whatever it was, and he was worried about the Munster defence. And those frailties are still there, really. They're still quite leaky defensively in the backs, especially, close to ruck time as well. Um, I'm sort of surprised Munster are still up there in fifth, really. It feels like they've had a really disappointing season. And yet somehow they're still sort of right up there in sort of playoff contention. Um, Whether when the internationals come back, not that they've got a huge amount compared to previous years, but they'll sort of, begin to pick up a little bit from there. But Edinburgh are suddenly looking good, and they're in that pack now from sort of seventh to 14th or whatever it is, who are all in contention for those last few
Yeah,
places. So yeah, really, really good performance. I think, nobody expected that maybe for Edinburgh to go away and win in Munster. Zebra Dragons, we've touched on a little bit, so I won't say too much on this one. I was going to say battle of the two worst teams, or is it? Because Zebra have won now 3 games on the bounce. I don't think you can say they're the worst, one of the bottom two teams in the league at the minute. It's just a pleasure to see them playing well, getting wins as well. Um, the Dragons were competitive in the first half and then didn't score a point in the second half.
yeah,
And that says it all, really. I think, what more can you say, really? I think the Dragons players, fans, coaches are just waiting for the season to come to an end now, really, and try and start yet another rebuild for next year. But yeah, and the Dragons, to not even leave there with a bonus point, would be really, really disappointing, to leave with absolutely nothing from that game where they were hoping to get a win
yeah,
from it, and to come back with nothing.
We can't throw stones, too many stones, obviously, because I actually, until I was looking through the previous, this season's fixtures that we've already played earlier on today, I'd completely written out of my mind that Zebra beat us this season as well. I'd
Mm,
completely forgotten about that moment.
yeah.
So
yeah.
we can't really say much, can we, as Ospreys fans?
No, no. Um,
No,
and
they've
fair
never
play to
taken
the
this because
Dragons
out.
Lair pod,
Yeah.
guys. They got a bit of sense of humour on Twitter, and I think they've got that black split sense of humour now. Sending you love, guys. You know, it can't be easy to talk about it. And they're right, the injuries that they've got, they had a thin squad anyway. It's just getting thinner by the day. In
Yeah.
it, it's not easy for them to at the minute. And I just such a prong, like a really proud rugby region as well.
Yeah.
You know, And that's, I don't like to see any region fail,
I
you
think
know.
they've got some exciting youngsters coming through, though, both
Yeah,
currently at under 20s level and a few that have broken through into the senior squad, isn't it? So keep an
you've
eye
got
on
some
Bro.
highlights,
He
good
had a good
homegrown
game.
talent.
Yeah. As well as Hugh Anderson as well. I think those are the two youngsters to keep your
Yeah,
eye on because they're destined for Welsh cap. So, it's not all as depressing as people making
it gets
out.
better. We've all
Yeah.
been there.
Yeah. But the Dragons well and truly adrift now at the bottom, only on 8 points with Zebra on 25. So I think
Mhm.
it's safe to say the Dragons are going to finish bottom. If we didn't know that already, then Friday night just confirmed that definitely.
Yeah.
Moving on to Saturday, surprisingly easy win for the Lions over the Sharks, 38-14. Um, uh, Played in what at times were quite torrential conditions, torrential rain during the game. But despite that, the Lions found a way to score 6 tries, mixture of some lovely back moves. But the forwards really fronted up to the Sharks' pack as well, which I think was maybe a little bit unexpected. We know the Lions have got good backs, but their pack isn't usually dominant. But the Sharks remain in third, but still somehow look fallible week to week. They're so inconsistent. And yet they're still up there in third. There's the rematch of this game coming up this weekend. So it'll be interesting to see whether the Sharks can get their revenge this weekend. But the Lions very much in that chasing pack now with us as well on sort of 28 points or whatever
Yeah,
they are. The Bull Stormers game I didn't see. It was delayed by 4 hours, I think it was, on Saturday afternoon again due to rain. And by the time the game was played, Premier Sports had moved on to La Liga football, I think it was. Um, I'd say the interesting point to come from it is that obviously Bulls 16, Stormers 19, so brilliant away win for the Stormers. The Stormers are top of the South African Shield currently, but 3 of the 5 wins they've had this season are against South African teams. So they seem to play well against South African teams and not so well against anybody else.
yeah,
And again, sort of a Jekyll and Hyde team this season. Likewise, the Bulls, though, and the South African teams are not. I was expecting maybe Stormers and Bulls to be more dominant, and everybody was expecting the Sharks to be really, really competitive, and they're all up there still, um, but lagging way, way behind your Leinsters and Glasgow's, which is a bit of a surprise.
Yeah. It's worth saying for both of these South African fixtures this weekend that they had the most torrential rainstorms for both games.
Yeah.
Our friend Kirby, friend of the pod, who has come on, what, once or twice? A couple of times, I think.
yeah.
Um, he sent me a video from TikTok of the Bull Stormers game, and before kickoff had even started, there were people all over the pitch sliding in the puddles of water, stewards running everywhere, sort of dragging fans behind them. It looked like
Oh
chaos.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The can I just I'm probably going to start the Twitter spat as well again now. Someone sent me a picture yesterday because it was Pancake Day, and it was a picture of the South African squad, and it said, "Seeing as it's Pancake Squad, seeing as it's Pancake Day, here's a picture of some tossers," and it just made me laugh.
Oh dear.
Mhm.
I don't actually like pancakes, but that did make me laugh. But yeah, you're right. They're not rocking my world really this this season. Um, but that weather did look absolutely
It did. Yeah.
Yeah.
bonkers. Like we know all about rain down here, don't we? But that just looked
Yeah.
insane. Fair play to them.
Yeah. Moving on then, Leinster 42, Cardiff 24 on Saturday afternoon. I think a game we all watched. Cardiff really competitive first half, but ultimately the Leinster machine rolls on. They were a much changed team as you'd expect again with the internationals away. Um, 13-12 at half time, really tight game. Cardiff played some good rugby in that first half as well, but then conceded a further 4 tries in the second half. But again, showed spirit in coming back to get 2 tries near the end to get the losing try bonus point, which they'd be quite pleased to come back with that, I think. But yeah,
Yeah.
Leinster.
Credit
Go on,
where
Rob.
it's due. They're the only team to do that this season. Sorry, Mark, just jump
Yeah,
in there.
just
They're
go
the
four
only
tries
team
there.
to score
Yeah,
4 tries in Dublin this
yeah,
season so far. So yeah, credit to them.
Yeah, Cardiff slipping a little bit. They're down to sixth in the table now, only 3 points ahead of us. I think everybody was saying they'd had a bit of a light fixture list in the first half of the season,
It's
and
harder
they're
for
going
them in
into
this section.
yeah, definitely. So I think that's beginning to show now, and they're being dragged back into the pack of chasers. So it's going to be touch and go whether they can stay in those playoff places come the end of the
Yeah.
season. Again, they've got more internationals to come back than we have, more players in the Welsh squad currently. So they are going to strengthen up over the next few weeks as well. So it'll be interesting to see when they're back, how they can reintegrate. And they do play some nice rugby, to be fair, Cardiff.
And a head coach they're
And
missing.
a head coach to come back as well. Yeah, true enough.
Yeah,
True
yeah.
enough. And then moving on to Saturday tea time. The Scarlets yet again blew an opportunity to win a game. I don't know why we're all smiling at that.
It's just, I it doesn't make me happy because I like to see the other regions competitive because everybody's got to pull up to that standard. But
Yeah,
it's that, like, Dwayne Peel did not look happy and did not sound happy at the end of that.
no,
And I can't blame him.
no.
You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah,
smiling because it's like a grimace that they've done it
yeah, so
again
many
because I
times.
think
Yeah,
ultimately that may be their undoing.
yeah,
Rod's just
definitely.
smug. Monk's like, whatevs.
Yeah,
It's the
yeah. Finished
signature move,
Ulster
isn't it?
30. Yeah, finished Ulster 30. Scarlets 28. Yeah, Scarlett's a bit like us, started on fire, scored 2 tries early. Max Page absolutely skinned
Great.
Stockdale for one of the tries, which you don't see very often. He looks quite a talent, doesn't he? I mean, we've seen him playing the centre quite a lot this season. He was on the wing on Saturday and looked just as comfortable out there as well. I mean, the Scarlets backs, if you consider they've got the Welsh squad's back three currently, and then you add in the centres that they had out on Saturday and Page. They've got a really talented back line there. And they have tried to buy in a pack of forwards to back that up. But their main problem at the minute seems to be game management, especially towards the end of games. They just can't see out a win, and it should have been a win for them on Saturday.
Yeah.
There for the taking. Credit to Ulster for coming back and scoring that 77th minute try to win it. But yeah, definitely one that got away for the Scarlets. And if you add up all the points that they've thrown away this season, then they would be certainly up towards the top three or four. So a bit like us, they look back with some regret at some results this season as to what could have
But
been.
again, build, move on from to next season. It's good to see that. And again, I'm not digging Dragons out. It's good to see 3 out of the 4 regions being competitive. You know, the, the things that people can say about Welsh rugby and everything else, the reality is we've got 3 competitive regions that can only drive standards up.
Mm.
You know, and bring those younger players through. Because you're right, Rod, we've got lovely young players coming through with the right management and nurturing. There's no reason why they can't become fantastic regional players, but make that step to the Welsh squad. And I think
Yeah.
that's what it's all about at the moment is growth.
Yeah,
Whether that be with your core skills, whether that be with your, you know, mental fortitude so that you can close those games out. There's a lot of positives where if you just tweak certain things, then the results could go very different ways and that table could look very, very different.
yeah, definitely.
Um,
I mean, for Ulster, it was a massive win for Ulster on Saturday. They were in danger of being cut adrift from the chasing pack a little bit. So for them, it was a must-win game, really. And they're
yeah,
back in the mix, only a point behind us. Despite having a really disappointing season.
My
yeah.
favorite thing to come out of this game was the Saucepans and Sidesteps podcast posting Johnny Williams's
Oh,
stats
yes.
in the
Stats.
midfield after this game, and I think it was like 13 carries for 15 meters, and they were sort
Well,
of
not
highlighting
impressive, was
the good
it?
stuff. Just seeing everybody jumping on them and going, "What are you
Somebody,
talking
somebody messaged me and I was like, they're just copying us now. Um, it was just, yeah, it was quite funny.
about?"
I saw it
What
and was
one
tempted to put a
1.1 meters
laughy
per
thing on
carry?
it, but I didn't.
Yeah, surprised you didn't put Keith's stats up alongside it, Rod, which was
I think
it was like
somebody else did.
the
Somebody
60
else
odd
did.
60 odd meters of carry, wasn't it, or something like that, or whatever
Yeah,
it was.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Somebody else
To
did, and I was there for it. I was
yeah.
absolutely there for it.
be
Um,
fair, he is a very good player.
He
yeah,
is.
He is a talented player, but maybe not
but
the
if
best
you're going to
to
do that,
highlight
make
that
it
performance,
impressive.
maybe. Yeah,
It
Yeah,
needs to be like really impressive. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
yeah.
Um, but God loves a tryer. Um,
Absolutely. And then the same time was our game on Saturday night. There was another cracker, which was Connacht 38, Benetton 30. A really entertaining game, only spoilt by an abomination of a Benetton kit. I don't know whether you've seen it, but it was absolutely horrific. Just that's just me. I'm a bit of a kit geek anyway, but
what?
Describe it. I missed that.
I
Is the
need
one
to
it was
Google
had
this
sort of
now.
loads
I
of
do.
blotches of different colours and stuff on it and things and patterns and stuff. It just looked
Oh,
horrendous.
watch me like this
Um,
now, because
you
I'm
probably will.
weirdo.
You probably will. But a really open game. Both sides really keen to play. Connacht started really well. Benetton had a purple patch in the second and the third quarters where they forged a lead for themselves. And then two late tries for Connacht won it. Really good entertaining game. Two teams really wanted to play open rugby. And yeah, Connacht again. It was a massive game for both teams. I think for Connacht being at home, especially, needed that win, and they've snuck into the playoffs as a result of that as well.
Oh no, I'm not feeling that.
It's horrible, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's not
not a bit of you, is it, Sam?
no, to be honest, no. And I've not got a great, yeah, I'm
I mean, black
not
shirts you
averse to a
can't go
bit of,
wrong with normally, but they seem to
but
have
it,
gone very wrong with
yeah,
that.
not for me. That's not for me.
Oh,
No.
Not
is it
this
the one
one.
with like bits of like rope twisting around it? Is that what they're going
That's
for?
the one I've seen.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, that's a
very
bit
odd.
odd, isn't it?
Very
Where's
odd.
that come from?
I don't know.
In it, it's
First time I've
something
seen them
to,
wear it this season, so I don't know whether it's a special commemorative kit or a.
oh, it's a tribute to the values and innovations,
There we are. Well, they've done the
Oh,
tribute now; they can stop
celebrating the
celebrating.
origins of Benetton rugby based on equality, respect, trust, support, and loyalty, the club's values. It's represented by a tree that wraps around the front and the back of the jersey.
Well,
is that
with
I'm not getting
apologies to
tree from
Benetton.
that.
Well, with apologies to Benetton's values, whoever designed it needs shooting, I think. But there we
Yeah, I'm
are.
not getting tree from that. Like, do you know what I
No,
mean?
not really. I mean, the table we've sort of touched on briefly, but from the Sharks in fourth place down to Zebra in 15th, there's only a 9 point gap. From Cardiff in sixth to Ulster in 14th, there's only a 4 point gap. That's where the big um, sort of bottleneck lies at the minute, really, for that sort of sixth to eighth position. There's sort of 7 or 8 teams still in the hunt for those playoffs, and
It's really
that's why it's
tight.
so important. I think this next block of games now that for me, I think we need to win the 4 games before we go to South Africa.
And I think everything counts now.
Yeah,
You think that's the threshold, is it? You think we need to win every one of those four?
I think it's going to be tough to go to South Africa and win either of those last 2 games. However, we went to the Lions and won last year in Europe,
Yeah.
so
Mm.
it's not unheard of certainly. So and just one other thing to touch on from the weekend. I don't know what a forward pass is anymore. There was so many incidents in so many games, which to me the passes looked to the naked eye miles forward, that weren't picked up on. A lot of them try scoring passes. I don't know what a
Somebody
forward pass is
said
supposed to look
something
like
about
anymore.
this in commentary on Saturday, and I'm trying to remember what it was because it's slightly changed. I will look into this and I will come back to you because
It was meant
someone
to do
did
with the hands,
mention
isn't
it.
it? It's meant to do with the
Yeah,
position of the hands. If the hands are facing backwards,
yeah.
then they allow for the forward movement of the
There's a
player,
certain
of
degree.
the ball and everything else. But
Yeah,
some of them just looked a bit like in the Leinster game against us, where some of their passes looked a mile forward and didn't get picked up on.
yeah.
A whole ruck of them over the
But
weekend.
there's a new thing.
Yeah,
It's getting
Um,
dangerous, in danger of getting far too complicated now, where you need a sort of master's in trigonometry to be able to calculate if the
yeah.
things are gone forward. If the ball goes forward, it's a forward pass. Like, I don't know why it needs to be any more complicated than that. Am
I
I
think
being?
it's rude if you need that kind of level of maths knowledge because I'm not that level of like no. I was good at history and art and drama. I was not good at maths and science. So I'm screwed if that's the case.
Yeah.
Um,
And so
but
I know sometimes it can be down to TV angles and stuff like that, whatever, so you don't get a
Mhm.
true picture of where those passes are actually going. But yeah, a lot of passes, a lot of them leading to tries, some of them try scoring passes, which you just thought, oh, surely that
Yeah.
needs looking at again. But
Hmm. Hmm.
anyway.
very, yeah, I'm just let's have a little look.
But this has got to be one of the most sort of unpredictable URC seasons to date, I think, just in
But
terms
I
of we
like it.
predict who's going to win each game. It's not easy, is it? There's probably 3 or 4 fixtures from the weekend just gone that probably the unfavored team came out on top.
The URC
Yeah.
had us losing by 12, their match predictor.
Yeah.
Right.
So to you again,
Yeah, I
with
mean,
a
you could say
1% chance.
Edinburgh's win, Lions win, Stormers win, our
Hmm.
win were all surprises, really,
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
the weekend.
So
Yeah.
it's, it is
All I to need.
anybody's,
Yeah.
you know, now it's a bit like the Hunger Games, in it? Let may the odds be ever in our favour. So I think we've got a cracking couple of weeks coming ahead of us with not only Ospreys games, but looking at other teams as well. So I think we've got a lot to keep our eye on, keep our
Absolutely.
focus on. But we're back to the Six Nations this week, lads. Um, Great news. Dewi's back training. He's been called back up to the squad. Rumours
Mhm.
are squad is largely going to remain unchanged, but with Dewi going on the bench, he's not a starter. Anscombe is back. His knock to the head, nothing serious, so he's okay. So the rumour mill is pretty much saying that it'll be a largely unchanged team to go up to Murrayfield on Saturday. We're the second game on Saturday. Ireland France beforehand. Um, Bit of shit house through from Ireland this week about our scrum. Have you seen that?
I
Their
No,
saw the
scrum coach.
article. I haven't read it. What was said? What's been done?
Apparently, we've got dark arts in the scrum. No, mate, we
Good.
screwed you. Let's just
Good.
get it. Let's just get it right.
I feel like that's
Apparently,
something that we've been
we
lacking.
weren't
A bit of
setting properly,
mm,
and we were causing it to collapse. And it's like it was like, no, no, it can't possibly be our scrum because our scrum is really strong.
oh,
mhm.
what's Adam Jones been doing then, I wonder?
So, do you know what? Dark arts. I'm Slytherin in Harry Potter, so I'm okay with that.
I
Can't
Yeah,
can't
thought
be
the
on.
scrum was always about the dark arts anyway. I thought
It
that
is, yeah.
you're not meant to
exactly.
understand what's going on there.
No,
You
no.
just don't like that you were refed properly. That's what it is.
Mm.
So we've got Ireland France. There's talk about both sides have spoken to the ref about the scrum beforehand. Think it's going to be a really, really good game. To be honest, vive la France, vive le Blues, as far as I'm concerned. Um, there was a really funny TikTok that one of the rugby channels have done this week as well, as to who's got the most annoying fans at the moment. We came second, Ireland came first, because apparently they're really cocky, gobby shits now. They're doing quite well, and which I kind of agree with. So we've got that as an aperitif then for us on Saturday, and then we go into the big one for us, Wales, Scotland. Obviously, Scotland's going to be hurting after that awful defeat against England. Likewise, we're going to feel quite confident off the back of that performance against Ireland. So I think it's got the opportunity to be a bit of a cracker.
Hmm. Yeah,
Hopefully,
pressure's all on Scotland, in my opinion,
think,
It
and it's
is
on us to
no
go up
pressure
there
on us.
and take
yeah.
it. There's a smidge of pressure on us just to show that last week wasn't a
A
fluke.
fluke.
Uh, but there's no pressure necessarily to go and get the win. I don't think. I think it's all on Scotland. They're going to be the ones sweating over this game this weekend, and I think Matt Sherratt will just be focusing on keeping the boys' heads clear and just saying, same again this week, boys.
Just go out.
Uh, have fun, yeah. Go enjoy
Go
it.
out.
If you can do it against Ireland, you can do it against them.
Yeah, yeah. And I do love Murrayfield as a ground. It's a proper old fashioned ground. not just because John is Scottish, but that lone piper on the roof for their anthem, especially because we've got the second game and their lights go on and you've just got
Mhm.
that spotlight on that piper.
Mhm.
That's special. That's something. That's a great. Like I win or lose, whenever I've gone to Murrayfield, I've had a really, really good time.
Mm.
Um, so I'm really jealous of everybody that's going up. I am jealous.
I'm kind of thinking it might be a little bit of an old school. I just remember as a kid, Scotland Wales games and vice versa were always a bit mad and
Yeah,
very loose. Like Bill McLaren used to say, it's gone a bit harem scarum. Um,
yeah.
and I think it could be a little bit like that on Saturday. I think, Scotland don't know any other way to play. We seem to be a little bit like that against Ireland as well, letting the players
We're a bit of a live wire at the
themselves.
minute, and we were a bit of an unknown entity, whereas we can analyse them
Yeah.
quite heavily. Whereas with us at the minute, we're like a hand grenade. Somebody's pulled the pin off, and we're just being thrown into a social situation.
Yeah. So if both teams kind of just go for it on Saturday and play, it could be a really exciting game.
Yeah.
So how do
Um,
we win this? How do we win this?
That's the thing. See, I think to win the
we
game,
shut down
we
the
need to
backs
be a
and
little
Finn.
bit more circumspect than that and play possession a bit more, play territory a bit more. I think if we try and play Scotland at their own game and just try and run from everywhere, I think
Yeah,
we might struggle.
yeah.
Shut Finn
I
down.
personally think we got to target Finn.
Shut him
Because
down.
how well Scotland do hinges entirely upon that man, on how he's feeling on the day and how comfortable he is in the game and how free he feels to chuck
Just
mad route
play.
passes or just put boot to ball and send it halfway across the pitch into the winger's hands.
Because that's when he brings Duan and
Yeah,
Hugh Johnston,
Mm.
and we need
exactly.
to shut that down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he is the kind of player that if you can, it's really hard to rock him, but if you can, everything starts
He
unraveling
loses his
at that
shit.
point. Yeah, and he can get frustrated with himself. So I think we're going to need to really put the pressure on him, put him in some tricky situations with some boys running up fast, in his face. And I think maybe we have a chance.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think
I
if we can
think if
get some field position from that, I think, if we can make him play from deep, that's where he's going to make mistakes that we may
Mhm.
be able to, you know, pick up on. So
capitalise on, yeah.
yeah, if capitalize, that's the word I was looking for. Thank you, Sam. So if we can turn them, keep them in their own 22, play possession in that way, make them play from deep, and there's more chance that he might make mistakes and errors because he only has one way to play, didn't he? So
yeah, yeah.
It's the worst day ever in my house. It is because, like, it's it's hard. It's really, really hard because I'm quite vocal as a fan, and John is not, and it can get a little bit like think,
Does he
and
find you a bit much during those moments?
I'm very much, yeah, I'm a bit extra. I'm not even gonna lie. Stuff like in my day-to-day life, I can very much put my brain into gear before my mouth goes into gear.
Mhm.
When I'm watching rugby, that tends to go out the window. I tend to be a hooligan. So I will say things that are slightly controversial. I'm better when I'm watching it live because I got people around me and I got to behave. In the house, it's not. But we usually, we'll watch and we'll be like, good game, blah blah blah, whatever. Um, but it's an hard day in my
You
house.
shake hands. I can see you shaking hands.
We fist bump, we do. We fist bumped on Saturday night. We were like, and for John, because Ospreys are his like Welsh team, he was like, I'm happy either way.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Whereas with
If
Scotland,
if he was
Wales,
going to have them lose, it would be against us because they're secure at the top. They're going
yeah,
through to
he's
the final
happy
eight.
with like
It
he was
doesn't impact
happy
Yeah.
him.
with that. Do you know what I mean?
Uh,
With Scotland, Wales, it's a different ball game altogether. Um, you know, and like my mum's a mental sports head. And it's like she thought she was being funny in the car the other day. And she went, "Oh, we're going to be supporting on Saturday. Then it's in Scotland." And I just went, "You kidding me? What's wrong with you?" And she's like, "I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding." Um, so, but to be fair to him, he does take quite a bit of stick off me and my brother. Like, do you know what I mean?
I suppose the
So
question is, can we finally break the losing streak on Saturday?
please, please, please. Like, I know it would make him really sad, but better him be sad than me. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think we can do it. It'll be hard. It will be
Hmm.
hard. But I think if we just go out and try some stuff, then just be like, if it comes off, great. If it doesn't come off, we've lost nothing.
Yeah.
Nobody's expecting anything.
Are you expecting
Yeah,
a
it
win
could.
Saturday, Rod?
Pardon?
Are you expecting a win Saturday? Are you going to put your head on the block and say we're going to win up there or not?
I definitely think it's doable
Yeah.
if we don't allow Scotland to get into their flow. I think it's more than possible. It's so hard to say though, based off what we've seen so far. You know,
We've just got rolled down here, haven't we?
I
we've
think it's
seen
one of
two.
those games that could go literally anywhere.
Yeah.
We could fall apart completely and Scotland could have one of those days where everything works for Finn,
Hmm.
and they rip us to pieces. It could be a day
Yeah,
where everything goes wrong for Finn and we capitalize on those mistakes that he makes and we go on and win the game.
Yeah.
Um,
yeah.
Yeah.
it's just impossible to tell, isn't it? I've horrible feeling it's going to be one of those heartbreak kind of
I just think it's going
narrow
to be one of
defeats
those where you're
again.
watching with your heart in your mouth.
Yeah, that we're going to leave the game with a lot of credit, but ultimately without that win, possibly.
I think it'll
Yeah,
come down to bench again. I know I've said that once already tonight in reference to the Ospreys' performance, but I think it will come down to our bench. I'll be glad to see if Wainwright is on there again because he offers some real punch off the bench. I'd
I'm warming
rather,
to him.
yeah, 100%. And then the same for Derry as well. What we've lacked previously is just a bit of oomph coming off the bench to
Yeah,
ride up those last 20 minutes. And with those two, I think certainly, at least up front, we're going to have a bit more of an impact in those final 20.
yeah.
Um,
And it's
yeah.
then whether our dark arts can put pay to Xander Ferguson and Schumann in the
Give it
pack.
a whirl, innit? Why not? Give it a
Whatever the
try.
dark
Suck it
arts
and
may
see.
be that Adam Jones is introducing to that
I'm
front row.
okay with dark arts. It's fine. And then we've got England, Italy on Sunday. Oh God, I hope Italy are bat hurt and they come out firing.
Rumours are that Marcus Smith has been dropped for this one.
Oh dear,
Entirely.
what a shame. How sad.
Dropped out to the 15 to the bench, yeah.
Okay. Hmm.
So,
Him and his hair just fry
surprise.
me. I can't even.
Don't
I mean,
don't see Italy winning that one though. As much as I'd like to see it.
I'm gonna have my Italy jacket on, Rod. I'll be
I
there.
just
I'll
don't
be
see it.
supporting Italy.
Plus, if they do a job on England, it's even
We
harder
just
for us to claim it back.
Yeah, but imagine them coming then to like the stadium and being like shock us. And we're
They'd
just
be
like,
even more riled up. They'd be even more riled up.
yeah, true.
Super
No, I
Saturday's going
can't
to be
see
a big
anything.
one, innit? It is going to be a big one.
Can't see anything but an England game, England winning this one, to be fair.
No, no.
I believe in you, Italy. I believe. Um, so that's kind of our Six Nations roundup. I still love you, John. I still love you. I will still love you whatever happens on Saturday. Um, questions wise, we've only had one this week. Well, it's a multi-layered question from Andrew. Which was, how was the atmosphere in your house on Saturday night, Sam? Tense, very tense. But we did fist bump at the end. It was all good. Um, yeah, bit tense, but we're friends. We didn't fall out too much. Um, then said, great win. This has to be the benchmark for us for the rest of the season. Do you agree? Yeah, we
Yeah,
do.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah.
certainly in
Yes, we
terms
do.
of effort and quality. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's absolutely
And
no point
then,
winning up there if we don't back it up against Connacht at home in a couple of weeks' time, is there? So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then we've just discussed the last section, which is changes for the Wales team v Scotland. We don't think there's going to be any really, Andrew. We think Derry's going to come into the bench. Other than that, I think Matt Sherratt's going for the if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah,
No
I
point
think
tinkering
so.
with it, really, is there?
Yeah.
Um,
I think there has been some chat around Josh Adams. I think he was being lined up for the Ireland game, but then wasn't fit enough on the day or on the
did I
week.
see that he's
He's
still
injured
not
again, isn't
fit,
he? He's out.
maybe?
He's still not fit, is he?
No,
Okay,
he's
so
out.
No.
Yeah.
we're not going to see him.
No.
Okay, yeah, I don't predict any changes then, other than Derry coming onto the bench.
It'd be nice to see him coming on and getting some game time as well, because I do agree with you, Rod. He can make a massive impact
Yeah.
off that bench with like a million
Yeah.
percent without a doubt. I don't know
hmm
why I'm saying million percent because it drives me crazy when people say, "Oh, I've given it 110%." No, you haven't. You can only ever give 100% of anything. Can't go above and beyond that. Um, so that's kind of the questions for this week. We've had no more chance or anything. We're going to speak to Nick about the Scarlets game and what the dealio is with the band, because I think that could be really, really cool.
Yeah.
I think get that atmosphere going, get like the noise going, get the atmosphere. Sorry, forgot. Rod's mammy asked about the female mascot.
Oh yes. Do you want
So
to?
we asked Aussie and the guy inside of Aussie what happened to the female equivalent of Aussie. There was a female equivalent of Aussie. She's very cute, pink bow in her hair. Goes by the name of Sharon. Guys,
We know why.
I've discovered this evening that I do a podcast with Dumb and Dumber. Now, if you're relying on me to be the voice of reason and the sensible one, we're screwed. So, female osprey is called Sharon. Shazza. Shazza and Aussie. Dumbo 1 and 2. What a stupid name. Why is she called Sharon? So like Sharon and Aussie. Blank. Absolutely blank. Biggest power couple
Yeah.
in metal. Sharon and Aussie Osborne, you dingbats.
Just did
But
not
I
make
knew
the
that,
connection. I've been thinking
and I'm
about
a
Shark for
moron.
weeks.
Thank goodness you're
So,
here to put us straight, Sam, and
see, I was sitting here thinking, are they joking? Are they actually winding me up? Like,
The-
seriously now? And then
I,
they
I
just
think
like they didn't have a clue.
I think 80% of the people listening to this are going through the same the same realization now when you're saying that.
So
I don't think
literally, are you
people will have made that
saying
connection.
in a box of crayons, I'm a pink and I'm a bright crayon? Is that what you're saying?
100%.
Amazing.
let's put a
So
poll up maybe to see.
Yeah, yeah.
Sharon at the moment is MIA.
Mm. Ozzy says, for all we know, she's hiding in the .com somewhere. And if she is, when we clear out all our belongings for the stadium, ready for St. Helens, maybe she'll reappear. So we may well
And
see her
now
in the new season.
I would
Ozzy,
be
Sam, right there. She's ready and willing to be a Sharon. She'll change her name by deed poll and everything.
no, I won't. Um, although if my chunky little lardo can get into that suit, I'll be in that suit and I will be the world's worst mascot. I will be an absolute dickhead of a mascot. I will wind up those away fans like you wouldn't believe. Give me the drum. I'd be an arsehole. Can you imagine me as a mascot? I'd be a dickhead.
We can't have it actually, because then you're stealing my Valentine, and then
Oh
Ozzy will
yeah.
advise for me. So I'm just
We can't
Hey,
making
have a
this a
love triangle going on in the pod, can we, with Aussie? That's
no,
not going to work.
no, no. I'm
I'm
a
like nearly
jealous
20 years
boyfriend.
older
So.
than you, and you know, I don't think you're at risk of me, love. Do you know what I mean? Outshining you.
Oh, I don't
I'm a
know.
solid, I don't know, Rod. See, I'm a solid
With
7.5 on
that
a good
pink
day if
bow
you
on,
squint.
with that pink bow on.
Do you reckon? I'm going to wear a
Yeah.
pink bow next week now.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? It could happen. It
Yeah.
could happen. Um, so yeah, keep this space open. Um, and that's kind of our rugby thing for this week. But we can go a bit rando. Now, I was I did a thing this week and I saw this video and it was about hearing what you see on screen, which got me thinking then about when I was a student and misheard lyrics. Now, there's two that I can attribute to my friend Ian. One of them is Chiquita from ABBA. He thought the lyrics were "Take your teeth out, tell me what's wrong." The
Yeah.
other one was Karma Chameleon, which he thought was become a chameleon. Your colour comes and goes, your colour comes and goes. Now, that kind of thing just amuses me because I'm not a person who will sing the right lyrics to anything. I'll make it up. It's an ADHD thing. I will just make my own thing. But have you ever heard or seen the lyrics to a song and thought, I got that really badly wrong?
I don't know
Not
because I'm probably still singing them badly wrong.
Becky has. Do you know the Macy Gray song?
I try.
I try. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, what were the words you were singing? Though I try to hide, it is clear. I wear goggles when you're not near. That's what she thought it
No,
was.
once you hear that, you can never unhear it. It will always be that now.
So every time we hear that song now, Macy Gray wears goggles when whoever it is not near.
I just love it. Absolutely love it.
I can't think of any others though. Like Rod said, there are probably many songs that I do sing the wrong words to all the time.
Yeah. But if anybody's got any misheard lyrics, let me know because it's really amused me this week. Can we just circle back to conspiracy theories though? Because I got a new favourite one.
Go on.
Donald Trump is a Russian plant. He's technically a Manchurian candidate.
Well, he's been too obvious about it if he is.
I just think it's absolutely batshit bonkers, and I think it could be true. You heard it here first.
I don't think that's so obscure, to be honest. I wouldn't be surprised if Putin has something on him without getting too political.
Like,
Um,
I heard that this week, and I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. Imagine that was true.
I wouldn't be surprised if Putin's secret service agents have got their hands on photos of Trump with
Something's
Epstein
going
in some
over there, isn't
incriminating
it?
situation,
I would
and he is.
imagine that there's a lot of people that have got photos of Trump in
And
incriminating
can I just
situations, but he
also
doesn't really
say,
care, does he? So,
props to
uh,
Norway. Go on, Norway, big up yourself. You're my new favourite country. We're not fooling your ships, America, off your pop. Go on, Norway. Love it.
Yeah, and
Um,
it's worth saying Slava Ukraini as well.
yeah.
do you know what? JD Vance can just go and do one. He's annoyed me today. He annoyed me last week. Do you know what, mate? No.
If
And I
it's
love the fact
possible,
that he went on a skiing trip and he had to change ski resorts because so many people protested. Go
if
on,
it's
you pants
possible to be
out,
more of a
America.
knob than Trump, then Vance is the guy who's more of a knob than Trump, isn't he, potentially?
You haven't
Yeah.
said thank you. Thank you for what, mate? You've done jack shit. You've only just got in. But I could talk about this for forever.
Oh,
But,
we haven't had
you
a
know,
political pod yet, have we? We should do a
Yeah, we
politics
probably
special.
shouldn't.
do you know what? It would absolutely like fry me because at the moment the world is giving me pure 1938 vibes. It is concerning me greatly. And then you hear these idiot politicians in America, and it's like someone. I had to really stop myself because it was like we saved your limey ass in the Second World War. Big breath now because it's like, yeah, 42 to 45 conflict. Yeah, mate, it was 1939 to 1945. And then they started bantering on, and I'm like, you need to do yourself a favour now because you actually never declared war in Germany. And they were like, what? You didn't declare war in Germany, mate. Germany declared war on you because you declared war on Japan after Pearl Harbor. You weren't interested before then, guys. And this is what amazes me. They're not taught this in school. They're taught their own version of history, which concerns me. Um, But let's not have a political one because I just get really angry and just
I'm not contributing because
it
I'll
makes
lose
me
my head.
angry. It
I'll just
drives my
keep it aside.
marbles. It's like history repeats itself time and time again. And as a human race, we learn nothing, absolutely nothing. But, you know, thought that conspiracy theory was worth a mention. Really, really enjoyed it. Obviously, you weren't here for the conspiracy theory question, Rod. I'm still not entirely convinced that we went to the moon, if I'm being honest. You know,
You're
and
out.
that will.
You're exposing yourself here now, Sam. You're gonna have.
The Earth is not flat. I'm not one of those idiots, but I'm not entirely like we'd have a moon base and everything by now if we'd have proper gone there. But I'm not saying anything more because it absolutely fries John. It drives him insane. But it's been a pleasure spending another little hour with you guys. It's been so nice to talk about, you know, Saturday. There's no way we could have recorded this yesterday without you, Rod, because it was just such a joyful thing to talk about.
Yeah,
Um,
and I missed the recording after the Leinster game, which I know was a defeat, but it was one that I really wanted to talk about because there was so much positive in that. So yeah, when I was feeling a bit rough yesterday, I was
do
glad
you know
that you
what?
said that we could rearrange because I wanted to talk about this. It was a good game.
If we had an attendance chart right now, I'd be number one, Mark be number two, and you'd be at the bottom.
That's true. Actually, is,
Just
is that the case? I know that Mark, you've missed.
I
How many
missed
of you?
two, I think.
We're probably evens then.
But probably,
Actually, no, I've only missed the one.
oh, there we are then.
So
I'm
not
still bottom of
bottom,
the league
actually,
then.
Sam.
look at that. But all our socials and everything will be up. We will be on social media over the weekend with watching the Six Nations. Um, Probably watch Braveheart Friday night. If my husband kicks me out for being annoying, who wants to put me up?
I'm a bit far.
Yeah,
Rod's
come
like,
here.
absolutely not. I'm only coming if you make me pizza, mate. If I'm being honest.
We had pizzas the other day, actually. We fired the oven up for the first time this year. So yeah,
Cool.
come over.
I'm in. You're a bit far away, to be honest. But I just go with my mum's. Do you know what I mean? She'll take me back. It'll last for all of 2 hours before she sends me back, being annoying. But you know, it's all good in the hood. But have a lovely weekend. And next week is episode number 25.
Oh, silver anniversary. What are you going to get us?
Excuse me. Actually, I'll get you something. I don't know what it will be. It'll probably be something really, really random. But I think of something for next week.
I'm sorry I asked now. I could come back and bite me, couldn't
It could. Really
it?
bad, yeah. Really, really bad. Um, but have a good week, everyone. Enjoy the rugby. We will be back next week with our Six Nations roundup. I'll look ahead to Super Saturday and talking about the ins and outs of everything injuries wise. Please, guys, do not get injured. Ospreys, do not get injured on Saturday if you come on. Keep in good health. But we will see you next week for episode 25. And if you're lucky, I'll organise something for us all. Have a good week.